Welcome to our Bundesliga Roundup podcast. We have with us Saurav Saha. Welcome to the podcast, and he has been in other podcasts as well. Welcome back.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for having me. Uh,
So, Bundesliga has actually given the fans something to talk about, something to look forward to, as in this dire situation, Bundesliga gave some hope of light. So, let's talk about this week's Bundesliga matches. So, we should start with with the Dortmund versus Paderborn match. It was a 6-1 thrashing. So, what do you think about the game? Paderborn is in a very, very bad situation. And do you think that this scoreline was coming to them?
while so if you look at it, the first half was a goalless half,
Right.
and it was only in the second half that Dortmund picked up pace, and 3-1 scoreline would have been a reasonable scoreline at a point of time, but those last three goals came about in the last 10 minutes.
Right.
From where what was an acceptable result became a thrashing in the last 10 minutes itself, and that is not going to help their cause because they have been leaking goals left, right, and center over the course of the season. And if it comes down to goal difference, they are not going to find themselves in a very good position at this point of time.
Right. In the
Yeah.
first half, it seemed like Paderborn was creating more chances, and they were getting near the goal more, but Dortmund was missing chances at the same time. They were not being able to convert.
Absolutely. If you look at the stats after the game, I mean, one of the most notable things was that there were similar shots on target. Like both of the teams had 16 and 10 shots on target each. The only difference was how accurate Dortmund were with their shots. Whenever they got a chance, they made it count, especially in the second half. You look at how Jordan Sancho ran the game, ran it from the midfield. In the first half, it was like Dortmund were finding their bearings, and Paderborn have played an exciting brand of football over the course of the season. So
Yes, agreed.
it was a much more open game without
Right.
obviously the scoreline being a stalemate. People might have a different perception, but it was an open game even in the first half. But it is only in the second half that the scoreboard started ticking.
Right. But the scoreline that you see here is like something that's not acceptable by with any means. Like you have Thorgan Hazard coming on, like breaking the deadlock, and then after that it's just like leaking goals, and even they're conceding at the last dying moments after 85, 89, and then 90 plus 2.
Right.
It would have been 3
Yeah, I
nil.
mean, see the means when the second half started, there was certain zip, and Dortmund started moving the ball much faster amongst themselves. They were making the small triangles and finding spaces. Paderborn, they could have held on. If they could have held on, if you look at it, they conceded very early in the first half, in the second period, and as a result of that, uh, the game became much more open. And Dortmund with their attacking options, where they have pace,
Right.
and where the pace, fantastic pace up front, in the front of Sancho, Hazard, as well as Brandt was
In the side backs
coming.
as well.
Brandt, yeah, as well as Akimi and Guerrero. You had literally five players, possible five players at a time,
Right.
ready for a counter.
Right.
So, and they defended those corners very well. The last goal was a classic example of that, when Sancho and had Hazard on the side. He had the time to look up, look to his left, look front, and then place the ball past the keeper. So that itself showed, and that goal was created by, I think, Smelzer, who had just come on.
Yes, it just came on.
Uh, he had just come on a few minutes back. 10 minutes with of the game remaining. He himself got on the score sheet as well on the 89th
Exactly.
minute.
The last time he scored was in
Yeah.
2013. After that, after almost 7 or like maybe 2014, after almost like 7 or 6 years, he scored a goal.
Exactly. So it means I remember the on air commentary saying that the smile in itself reflects what was the importance of that goal for him. that getting it after and having been at the club for such a long time, it meant a great deal to him.
Yeah,
So and that came across.
yes, he contributed in a lot of ways, but not through scoring. And Paderborn conceding that goal, it was a bit of a bummer for them.
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah, correct.
a thing that we should actually focus on is the absence of Haaland didn't make any difference.
Right, right. I think the one of the reasons the first half Dortmund weren't being able to, weren't being that clinical was because they were just adjusting to the fact
Right,
Hazard has played for them in that role, and that was one of the reasons why they let Dortmund let Alcacer go in the winter transfer window as well to Villarreal.
right.
So when the board was questioned, as to Alcacer, who came in last year and had been scoring goals for Dortmund at a phenomenal rate. Why was he
Right.
being let go? They said they
30
had the
plus
players to
goals.
back it up.
Yes, and it lived up to the billing of what they said.
Yeah, yeah, correct, exactly my point.
So let's move on from this match. And
Yeah, you mean so one of the highlights of that game, the biggest thing was the Sancho, the hat trick.
yes,
It was a combination of all the three types of goals that you could think of. The first one was just a small tap in, being at the right place at the right time. But
right,
then he had made that run, Emre Can's run, to ensure that he could fend off the challenge, and putting in the ball at the right place and enabled Sancho to just have a tap in. The second goal came at a much more crucial time. Paderborn had just scored at that point of time,
yeah, from the
and
penalty.
from the penalty, and Sancho, just somehow managed to generate enough power on in his left foot to put it across the keeper. And
Right.
lastly, if you look at it, the third goal, means we discussed this in brief a while ago, and the celebration after that, justice for
Yes, justice
George
for George.
George Justice for George Floyd was also, means he was not the only player on the pitch who has been supporting the social cause, as Hakimi also,
Hakimi was there too.
later on, revealed through, that he was also wearing that message beneath his,
Right. It's a
jersey.
very, very pressing issue right now, and hopefully they'll get justice. But let's not get into that much. But
Right.
definitely, from players like that and such young players, it's great to see that they are actually looking forward to the society to help them in some way to bring about awareness about various trends. So for that, I
Right,
really,
right,
really
right.
appreciate what they did. So. Uh,
Exactly, exactly.
in the Dortmund side, what I noticed is these are young lads, and they are not in the best of in one of the best of in the world yet. Yet there are
Right,
various players who
right.
are way better than them, but the combination of these players is unbreakable right now. The way they are playing this Dortmund side this season, it's amazing to watch. What do you think?
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. One of the fingers that is pointed as Dortmund is that they are a constant they are constantly rebuilding. It's not that they let the team settle and go on to be champions. Like, if you look at
Right,
it, Dortmund, if not anything, they means while Bundesliga is on course to win their fifth consecutive league title, it is Dortmund who has pushed them since for the past 8 years or so,
right,
if not on a consistent, means almost on a consistent basis, that is. And while at the same time generating profits and selling off the younger
exactly,
players to bigger clubs. So to be competing with Bayern, as well as be a challenger to the title, and to keep on generating profits, they are achieving their goals, what they want to achieve as a club, on all three fronts, at least the fronts which we are aware of, that, and
right,
which is visible to us, that is developing young players. Yes, you have had brilliant young players coming out of that team. You stick to an ideology of football, which they have since Klopp came up with this gegen pressing. Most
right.
of their coaches have taken it on board. Even Thomas Tuchel at that point of time, and even when Bosch came in, it is only when Bosch started concentrating on the defensive part of the game. That is when Dortmund did suffer. But then
Right.
along came the current
Lucien Favre.
Yeah, Lucien Fabre. So he has combined that, balance, that he has brought that balance to the defense, and as well as, concentrate on, the attacking players as well. Now, the
Yes.
problem is when you look at it from a perspective of next season, you will have a lot of players not being there. There is also already talk of,
Right.
Sancho, making a move to making a move back to the Premier League. Hakimi, who has been, a
Going back to
brilliant
Real.
player for them. Yeah, he's going back to Real Madrid, and there is also the chance that Guerrero might be leaving. So means while Guerrero is completely a rumor, but these two things are or have we have already seen a lot of coverage about that.
Right.
So
Right.
that ways, I think it's great that we have been able to see them at the flowing west even after this this COVID situation.
Right.
And I think with only 5 games or 6 games remaining in this league, it's best we might as well best enjoy the how this team plays, and
Right.
think about the next season.
Yeah, next season, I think the team's going to be very, very different. But I hope Guerrero stays, and I hope Haaland stays for a few more years, because I think the culture that Dortmund promotes is going to help a young and high potential player like Haaland, and of course Guerrero as well.
Right.
So let's talk about the Leverkusen match. So what do you have to say about that match?
So I did end up seeing this game, and to be very frank, it was a game in which if you like the means Leverkusen were the better team throughout that game, and means there was always a chance, they were means it seemed from the start that they were looking for the breakthrough goal. It's unfortunate that the goal scorer had to go off the moment he scored, but means Havertz has been great,
Great.
and he has already reached. He's one of the youngest players this season, youngest players in the Bundesliga to reach the 35 goal mark,
Right.
and that is before his 21st birthday. He's yet to turn 21, and he
Yeah.
has already reached the 35 goal mark, and he
Sancho
continued that.
yesterday reached the 30 goal mark to be the youngest Bundesliga player to do that. For 30.
Yeah, and 30 goal mark, and he broke this guy's record as well, Havertz's record itself, right?
So,
And yeah, so Leverkusen had a good game. You had Bailey, the US international, who was at the heart of everything. They tried from in the first half, Bailey had his, means they tried looking for Bailey, and his touch was a bit off, and you could see that he was very tentative about the skills he was trying. He had a lot of opportunities. He found himself in a lot of opportunities to take the shot first time, but unfortunately, he either ended up making the wrong decision at that one time. In
yeah,
the second half, when
Bailey's
Leverkusen,
young. I think he still needs time to develop his vision, develop his presence of mind. But I think he will. He's from Jamaica, and the, the the pace he has in himself, like Usain Bolt. But it, with time, I think these things will improve. These things will improve. But yes, he did
you're
make a
correct.
lot
You're
of
correct.
mistakes.
Yeah, my bad. I mentioned US international. He's a Jamaican international, actually. Sorry. Even said just missed my mind. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I saw the game. Uh, they were means always looking towards the left flank, and the other players did. It's not that the other players are not functioning. They started with a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old in attack. If you will, I am forgetting the 17-year-old's name at this point of time. I think it was F Words,
Wits, yeah.
the 27. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know the full name of him
Yeah,
at
he's
this
the
point of time.
youngest player to play for the Leverkusen senior team, as far as I remember. He
Yeah.
broke Havertz's
So
record for that as
yeah,
well.
he broke. Yeah. So it means Florian Wirtz. So
Hmm.
it was a good game. Wirtz was actually very much involved in the game. He kept on pulling into spaces, giving Havertz the space to run. And if you look at the game, a lot of Augsburg defenders were backing off Havertz all the time. In the build-up to the goal, it was more of a very intricate play by between Bailey and Havertz, and Havertz just managed to toe poke the ball in before the keeper and the defender could make a tackle on him. The defender was coming in from behind, so in hindsight, it might have been a penalty as well, but they had got the goal. But that also left Havertz, feeling a bit of a knock, and he later had to be replaced
Right.
immediately around, I think, around the 70th minute. He was replaced.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's not a physical player. He's a very intelligent but very lightweight player.
yeah. See, I probably believe that as
Yes.
time goes along, he'll put on a bit more muscle, and there were certain challenges which means while he looks lightweighted, he's so dainty on his feet that
Right.
whenever he's pushed, that he finds a way to still balance himself and stay on his
Right.
feet and get the ball away. So
Right.
that's when he has the physique to deal with it, I'm pretty sure that he'll be no pushover even in that sense.
Yeah, sometimes some people were comparing him with a very, very young version of Lewandowski. He actually has the signs of Lewandowski, or like that clinical finishing, that vision. He has that already. And he can
Yeah,
actually, if
yeah.
he builds up a bit, he can actually be deployed as a CF or a striker or something. He is
Right.
playing as in that position, but he comes back deep. But then he can develop in that position really well.
Yeah. I agree with you completely on that. He is a player we should watch out for, as years
Absolutely.
progress and everything. And I think he's destined for much more greater things. A lot of teammates have highly spoken about him. They see him as a future Ballon d'Or
Yes,
winner.
absolutely.
If not a competitive, they see him as a winner at this point of time.
Right.
So that speaks loads, because he has a lot of experienced people in the team itself. And he has Peter Bosch over there as a coach, and he has been pretty decent for them. He has been pretty good for Bayer Leverkusen.
Right. This season, especially the start of the season wasn't that good, but as the season progressed, he actually stepped up his game, literally stepped up his game.
Yeah, yeah.
He has been heading goals inside. He has been scoring with his weak foot. He has been scoring with his left foot. Of course, he has been scoring tap in, spot tap. He has been scoring in all possible ways that a striker can.
Absolutely. I mean, he's fulfilling the role. Like means Havertz is not exactly an out and out striker, right? He's
Exactly.
more of an attacking
Right.
midfielder. So, and if you look at it, they are this Leverkusen team. They are playing with 3-4-3 formation where they overload from the wing backs, but also ensuring there is a lot of stability towards the center. Means they are much more comfortable defending crosses than
Right.
the integrate play. So they let if you means in the game, it means almost all teams that have been competing, they have got the flanks to themselves to to put in the crosses, but they are pretty sure that once they can clear the ball, they have those two midfielders in the center and to make the telling pass for the counters to happen. So yeah, it's a good strategy. It has worked out well so far. It has worked out well for Bosch, at least at Leverkusen
Right.
this term. Yeah.
So the other match that we should talk about is Schalke. It's in a very, very bad condition. Schalke losing to Werder Bremen. It was like Werder Bremen is in the second last. It's in 17th. They really needed that point, but for a team like Schalke is still one of the biggest sports clubs in Germany, and in definitely is one of the biggest in Europe. And the club has been free falling down the Bundesliga table, and they did not win in the last 11 games. So that's something very worrying.
So yeah, so basically, I have been following Schalke for the past 3 games, since the COVID, post COVID, whatever the results,
Right,
and we had a familiar face. You had the coach David Wagner, whom we had earlier seen in Huddersfield. Back in the Premier League, so I thought like to figure out because Huddersfield did play an attractive brand of football, and Schalke even in the the earlier parts of Bundesliga, earlier parts of the season, they were playing a very good brand of football. But
right,
they have been in free fall since for the past, like as you said, in the past 11 games, they haven't been able to win a single game. Ahead of this podcast, you remember we were talking about how badly and how free fall and how the form has deteriorated, and
right,
there seems to be no way they can pull themselves out of this mireful situation. They were supposed to be competing for the Champions League position
exactly.
once the Bundesliga resumed, But right
Right.
now they are hanging on to the Europa League place. And given the way things have been going, it wouldn't be too much of a surprise if
They're
they
not in the
fall out of
Europa
it
League
completely.
place as well. They're not in any kind of European competition chances. There's no chance if
Okay.
they're in
At,
10th.
at, at, at the start of the weekend, when they were
Right.
before this game happened, they were in a Europa League position. But
Exactly.
by the end of the weekend, and means before this game, they also had not, if not a substantial lead. They had some amount of distance between the teams competing against them for the Europa League
Right.
positions. So
Right.
yeah, means I didn't have a chance to see the match, but I did see the highlights of this game, and it seemed that like there was only one chance for Werder Bremen, and this Bittencourt. It was a
Bittencourt, yeah.
smashing.
It was a
Yeah,
brilliant
it
goal.
was a
It was a brilliant goal.
it was a brilliant goal on his left foot. Angled in. You had their returning goalkeeper
Alexander
Kevin.
Newell.
Alexander Newell, who has
Yes.
been benched since he signed a new contract and everything. In the background there was some other news, but
Yeah.
he was helpless. There was nothing could do about that goal, and that was about it. Like if you look at if you check out the stats of that game, there was nothing uh,
Yeah, nine
much
shots
to
out of which only one were on target. One was on target.
yeah.
That's all. That's all.
So it didn't look like they were creating much, and yeah, I mean, so not exactly a game to remember, barring the goal,
Yes.
which was like fabulous. Yeah.
Yes. If you see Schalke's situation, they are actually failing to score. Their strikers are very in a very poor form, and if it's some point, it's where there will be a point after which you cannot defend any further. If you are being attacked again and again and again, at some point you are going to break. So you have to depend on
Yeah.
scoring. So if
Right. Right.
the opposition are seeing that okay, they are failing to score, they are failing to finish, so let's push them further and then let's scrape out a goal. That's what happened in the Werder Bremen match. They
Yeah. Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
on pushing. Even though Schalke played brilliantly in the second half, they
Hmm.
actually were very pathetic when it came to finishing. They were missing goals from inside the penalty box.
Yeah, I guess means like we have seen, right, when we have heard much more experts and pundits telling us how once a team runs into a bad run of form, it's means until unless somehow if they can scrape a result at one point of time, I think Schalke will be able to turn things around, because it's they still have five games. If they go on a run from now till the
Right.
end of the season, I still think that they are a team capable of doing much more than what has been on display at this point of time. They have already shown in this league that they have a certain way style of playing, and and it's a very suitable system for them. But
But the
they
thing
really have to
is, they are actually going to face tougher teams now. They have
that's true, that's
Wolfsburg,
true.
Eintracht Frankfurt. They have Leverkusen. I'm pretty sure they won't be able to scrape a single point against them. I'm sure.
Right. And yeah, means even Frankfurt is a great team. Frankfurt
Exactly.
also pulled out a result this weekend, right? Like that's what we were about to means like if we look at the Augsburg, I think
Right.
not Augsburg.
Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg versus
Yeah,
Eintracht.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
a 2-1 scoreline.
Wolfsburg versus Eintracht. Yeah, it was a great game to watch. Wolfsburg were the favorites. It was a home game for them, and they dominated the game. It was only by surprise, in the first half, Frankfurt took the lead, and in the second half, Wolfsburg came roaring out. They got in their main man,
Equalizer.
that is their top Maximilian Arnold, and worst. Wogan Hurst, I think
Yeah.
I don't know about the pronunciation. Their main striker,
Yeah, it's
he
difficult.
played really well.
Right.
He was playing really well, and they got the equalizer. Mvapu got the equalizer. The Swiss international right back.
Yeah.
He got the header of a brilliant Max Milner. It was like a bullet delivery, just flicked on by Mvapu, and the keeper, although he got his hands to it, he couldn't save it.
Yeah, it was
That
too
aside,
strong. It was too strong for him to save it.
yeah, exactly. But like just when it looked like they were getting the upper hand, and it looked at that point of time Frankfurt was laboring. It was looking, means they were just trying to stay in the game. they did
Right.
this double substitution where they brought in Dost,
Yeah.
Bas Dost, who's a former Wolfsburg player as well. You know, this bit of information I got it. You be the on-air commentator was saying that out, and
Right.
there was another substitution made at that point of time. But obviously, when the
Lucas Toro
chance came,
also came on to get a red card.
yeah, it means that was like the fastest red card for a substitute, like not the fastest, but he
Yeah,
did
it was
he did
pretty
do his
quick.
job.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I think he played around 20, 25 or 20, 25 odd
Yeah.
minutes, and he picked up a couple of yellows. The last the second yellow was, I think, both the yellows were necessary yellows to ensure that Wolves didn't move ahead on the pitch and get themselves into a position to probably score a goal or something. So yeah, means yeah, it was a great team result.
Right.
And especially the goal by Kamada on the 85th minute,
85th.
excellent finish. Like if you see the play, if it means if you see the replay of that goal, it is Kamada who had made that initial start. He won he got the ball in midfield, made the pass out wide. Then there was a very hopeful kind of cross, and it was because it was Dost, and he has this, like, he's very tall, and
Yeah,
he just
it's
won the
very
ball in the
physical.
air, and he headed it across the box, and like Kamada from like after making goal, he just kept on running, and he suddenly picked up pace ahead
Right.
of ahead of his ahead of his marker, and he just side-footed the finish. Like I think it was one of the most surprising results of this weekend, the Wolfsburg
Yes.
Frankfurt one,
Yes,
because
but
Wolfsburg played really well. Like even if you look at the stats, they had the major position. Like they had 16 shots on target. And
yeah, but
compared to only
the
6 shots.
number of shots on target were like better. The ratio was better for Eintracht Frankfurt. They just actually edged past Wolfsburg. They didn't win the match clearly. They just edged
Yeah,
past
yeah, yeah,
Wolfsburg.
yeah. It means when the time came, it's not that Wolfsburg created a lot of clear cut chances as well.
Right.
Frankfurt had the better chances. Frankfurt could have even in the first half taken gone into the first half with I think a 2-0 lead. Their striker up front. Uh, just one second. I'll just tell you the guy's name. Uh,
Gasinovic
I
or
think
Silva? Which one are you talking about?
I think Gasinovic.
Right.
Gasinovic who had gotten a through ball at the start in the towards the end of the first half, and he had the chance to take a lead, but
Right.
I think that didn't happen, and anyway, means it was a deserved result for Frankfurt at the end of the day, and means like a great game to watch as well. Like
Right.
it was a good game to watch.
Bundesliga people don't really watch it, like, and they don't really like it. But the mid-tier games, especially the mid-tier games, in the mid-table games, these are intense games. Even in Premier League, like the mid-tier
Yeah,
games are
yeah.
actually very, very good to watch.
I think at times it is the see the mid-tier games for me at times are much more exciting
Right.
than actually the top end games or the bottom end games. Obviously, everyone when you're seeing this bottom end games, bottom team versus the big team, there is always this thing of underdog taking on and you're
Right.
supporting the underdog. But more often than not, it is always the strength of the big teams that prevail, and sooner or later, like 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, it is the big team which ends up winning.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's only over a course of like say 10 game, like it's only a couple of games that the underdog gets the best of it. But mid-table games, both teams are fighting for it, and even like till the end of the like at the end of it, there is obviously so the only honor for them is probably the pay package, which is
On the
where the
broadcasting.
finish on the and the broadcasting rights and everything. That is obviously a motivation, but also I think it is more of a bragging rights, and it's also something which keeps them motivated. Like look at it this way: now a lot of teams are in the running for a Europa League spot, given the way Schalke has deteriorated. Schalke's
Yeah.
form has deteriorated over the past few games.
Yeah, it's very, very pathetic to see that, honestly. Uh, but then let's check out another game which I think will be very exciting. Uh, just give your take on that, which is when FC Cologne is going to host RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig has been one of the best teams in the league this season and just for the past 2 seasons as well. So FC Cologne are in 11th and RB Leipzig at 5th. What do you think, Werner? Can Werner score a hat trick or maybe increase his tally? In 28 games, he
So
has scored 24 times.
yeah, to be very frank, it's an away game from Leipzig at this point of time, and I see them winning this game.
Yes,
But it is going to be a tough game because FC
definitely.
Cologne they also have a very much an open playing style, and they have actually done very well for themselves this season,
Right.
to be able to where they are. I think they competed in the Europa League last time around, or this season where they're competing when they took on Arsenal last. I think that
I
was
think
last
last
season,
two,
right?
yeah, I guess.
That was the last season. But this time I saw a few of the games, so I don't know much about it. But I've been following Leipzig. Last week they were phenomenal. The way they
Yes.
went about doing the went about hammering their opposition, and Werner just was. It seemed that every time they went forward they would be scoring a goal.
Right,
And
exactly.
it
That's
means I
that's
think
the very lethal side of Leipzig. When they are in
yeah,
their
yeah,
game, it's very tough to like control them, and it's very tough to like tame them up and do something against them.
right. So that was a good game, and yeah, for tonight's game, I think Leipzig start as favorites,
Right,
no doubt about it. And like I expect, obviously Werner is a threat, but they also have a very good sidecar, good other midfielders in the
right.
team,
They have a
and
full package. They have a full package. But
yeah,
yes, they
yeah,
have a full package of underrated players, to be honest. There are players who can actually make a mark in the biggest stage, but nobody knows about them.
yeah. So yeah, means I don't see it being much of an issue for Leipzig this season,
Right,
this coming game. Although means obviously they would like to win this game because currently they are lying on fifth, and they have a game in hand. The
right,
moment they win this, they'll again be in the rightful position at third. And because given the way Mönchengladbach has been performing, and as well as Leverkusen, it is becomes very pertinent for Leipzig to win the game.
right.
Otherwise, that means this is the crucial end of the season, and that is not this is not where this is not the time for them to slip up at this point of time. And
Right, the
they
competition is
have good
high.
stats. That
Yes,
means you have to look at them. They have a very good balance. Like they are like one of the like they are the second best team, second highest scorers, and the second best defense in this league. So it speaks a lot about how well they are managed. But it's unfortunate that when it was the fag end of the season, Bayern like always has pulled away from all
right,
the others with such a supreme style of football. Like
right.
when Hans Flick came in, there were and Kovacic was replaced at that point of time.
Yeah.
It seemed that the Bayern were going through bit of a
Very
year.
bad
It's the
patch.
same thing,
Went through a very
bad
bad
patch. It's the
patch.
same time when Carlo Ancelotti was replaced
Right,
by Kovacic. But those bad patches are just it looks like looks like clouds on the horizon.
right.
I mean, say one huge gust of wind comes and it disappears, and a small
And
change in the management,
recently,
and you have Hans Flick right now having one of the best club records. Like he has
yes,
right now 11 wins in 13 games.
yeah, something like
So
that. And like the way he has actually managed the team, the way he has gelled up the players among themselves, the players are playing in positions that they have not played before.
exactly. Like Alfonso Davies was signed as a left winger. He's playing as a left back. David Alaba has been shifted towards the center.
Left center
Boateng.
back.
So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And
so Boateng, who has been, means if you look at the earlier part of the season, Boateng was a liability because
right.
you had I think Lars Sigurdsson, means who I don't remember.
I
Uh,
talking about Nicholas Sule. that he got injured.
Yeah, sorry, Nicholas Sule. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nicholas Sule and Boateng both do not have the pace, and they were being
Yes.
found out because of the pace. Now,
Yes.
Alaba being a left fullback, the moment you're shifted in, Boateng didn't have to worry about the pace because
Right.
Boateng was one of the faster players at one
Right.
point of time, but now
Right.
he has lost pace as he has grown older. So
Yeah.
now with Alaba taking care of the pace, and you have extreme pace in the form of Davies right now in the form. The
Yes.
moment Davies adjusted this transition of playing as a left wing back, now they have this option of sending Davis up front, and
Exactly.
he has been in phenomenal form. He again scored over the weekend. He has been he
Exactly.
I think this was the third goal in
Yeah.
4 games since the restart.
So he is actually like he has taken that position by the scruff of the neck. Like he's dominating. He's like right now being considered as one of the best left backs in the world right now. Currently, he is being considered, and he is playing
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that way.
Yeah, he has been playing great. He has been playing a very you know like very good football. Means
Right. The
uh,
the way he is
uh,
playing is
means
he makes mistakes, but he runs back and rectifies them immediately. That's the best part.
yeah. I mean, so he has. If you look at it, even the fact that Goretzka, for that matter, he has picked up form. Uh, his finish the other day,
Right.
and Muller means the
He is
best
in the
part
form
is
of
that
his life again.
yeah. So you have a very very strong team. You can see the hunger whenever like the especially like this weekend. If I don't know whether they like forget the victory the Kimmich's goal, but
Yeah.
Kimmich's role in the goal against in the third goal in the first half against their opponents. Who were the opponents in this time around this weekend?
Dusseldorf.
Bayern's Dusseldorf, yeah. So Dusseldorf, the goal again, the third goal, Kimmich's tenacity to get ahead of the defender,
Exactly.
make that pass, make that cutback, and for Muller to arrive and make another cutback for Lewandowski
Exactly.
to thump it past. That was a brilliant
Yeah, that
team
was the
goal.
best goal of the match. Team goal when it
Yeah,
comes
that
to team goal.
best team goal of the game. And
Right.
after that, the next half, Davis just waltzed past to score his goal. And yeah, like it was a great game. Bayern has been like excellent for the past
This
since
whole
the
season actually,
resumption.
like just after
Yeah,
Hansi Flick took over.
yeah. So means it has taken them time to figure it out. But you can see you can see the Bayern players actually being fitter than, and even
Yes.
in the Der Klassiker you had covered it earlier. You had put out your views with respect to that game. But it was a very good game. It was a very hotly contested game. It
Right.
is just that Munich Bayern are in a class above. It's not that Dortmund played badly or something, but
Right.
they Bayern didn't didn't let Haller have a kick in the game. They
Right.
didn't
And
let
the
him
main
even.
advantage was the left centre back, who is Alaba. He has immense pace. For a centre back, you
Yeah,
can't outrun
yeah.
him.
Yeah, for centre back you cannot, and the best part is that having played on the flank for such a long time, like
Right.
he initially joined as an as a
Left
left
back.
wing back only,
Yeah.
so he has the ability to cross and he can make those long passes. Like the goal, I think fourth goal for Bayern against Dusseldorf, it was a clean through ball. It was a
Right.
clean ball which he played, and like in order to defend that, the, you just had a muddled Dusseldorf defense, and as a result, you found other players in space, and there it was a tap in for Lewandowski
Yeah.
again. So
Easy.
yeah,
Easy.
so yeah, so very simple football, but very effective football. That is what
Exactly.
Bayern are
Simple but
concentrating on.
effective. Yes, that was the word I was looking for. You said that. Simple but
Yeah,
effective. Let's head back to the Leipzig game. Now, I just want to say that Leipzig, I think they're going to pull up because the matches they have left in front of them are pretty, like, comparatively they are easier. First, they are going to face Cologne today. Then they have Paderborn. They're last in the league, so I think it's again going to be a thrashing. Then they have Hoffenheim, Dusseldorf. I don't think they will have so much problem. The main problem is going to arise when they are going to host Dortmund. It's going to be a match to look forward to, and then they have Augsburg.
Yeah, so with I think that's the second last game of the season, right?
Yeah, Dortmund versus Leipzig. It will be hosted
Leipzig.
at Leipzig.
So if both teams maintain their course, then they keep on winning the games, then and means in order for this game to be a matchup, the second last game to be a matchup,
Right,
you have to hope that both the teams keep on winning their respective games.
right.
Otherwise, you might just have Leverkusen or
Mönchengladbach.
Mönchengladbach, sneaking ahead
Right,
of one of the other.
right,
So yeah, means to a certain extent, I will agree with you the fact that Dortmund seem more destined for a second spot in the league than
absolutely.
say Leipzig at this point of time. I think Leipzig still have to, like you said earlier, Leipzig still have to play Leverkusen, so
Right.
that will be a great game to watch. That is one thing. But for the foreseeable future, for at least for the next few games, I see Leipzig on course to for a matchup against Dortmund.
Yeah, even if they're not going to not even if they don't go for a matchup against Dortmund, I am pretty sure they're going to end up in a useful position. Like they are, they that team is definitely going to be third or fourth, not Mönchengladbach and Leverkusen. I don't think they can actually lead uh, RB Leipzig in this season because the run they are in, and Leipzig is
Hmm.
actually getting goals, which Leverkusen and Mönchengladbach are comparatively getting lesser.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point, but then you have to also look at the fact that they're conceding as well, right?
Yes,
So yeah, so means that way, Gladbach and as well as Leverkusen, they have
they
been very
are.
miserly
Yes,
uh,
they are in an
when it comes
advantage
to
in that place.
yeah.
They're
So
defending better.
Leipzig also picked up a couple of red cards over the midweek game, so they have a couple of defenders missing as well as injuries. But anyway,
Right.
it's still I think it's still a couple of weeks away that game. In the interim, they'll have to ensure that they are still in a position to compete till the till that for the last spot, or if
Right.
not, if they want to ensure that they want to if they want to seal that place,
Right.
then they will probably have to win their remaining matches as well.
Right. Right. It's going to
So
be
yeah,
very interesting on how the league actually like shapes up at the end of the season. I'm not worried about the first
yeah, I mean,
position,
sir,
but from the second on, it's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be a thrill.
I agree with you completely on that. I mean, the first position is more or less sealed. Like with I don't see
Yes.
Bayern dropping 7 points from this stage. They are too experienced for that.
Yes.
Like let's face it. At the first half of the season, we are saying that they are having a bad season. But when you look at the stats, what they have just dropped. They have drawn only 4 games and lost 4 games. Means that is a bad record for Bayern at this
Yeah.
point of time, and they're still 7 points ahead of their closest competitors,
Yeah.
and they
This
played their
season,
closest competitors last week and
absolutely.
last week
Right.
in midweek, and they seemed eons apart.
Yeah.
So if not anything else, so yeah, means I don't see them dropping any points. It would take a miracle for them to lose the league from this position onwards, and
Exactly.
it is again as usual the fight for the rest of the West for Dortmund, Gladbach, Leverkusen, and Leipzig.
Yeah, this domination of FC Bayern in the Bundesliga actually hurts the league in the long run. Even if I am a fan, I'm saying that because it uh, reduces the fan following, and that's a separate video on in itself. Like the way this is hampering, but
Yeah,
it is. There's
yeah.
domination is
See, I haven't followed Bundesliga on a regular basis, but from what I keep on seeing from time to time, I do find almost all the games interesting because even I see a lot of technical ability. I see a lot of technical play, like be it the La Liga or that means every team has a different story from their perspective. So I guess it's not a bad watch, like
right.
especially given the fact that you have such great teams. They only like you have Hoffenheim out there in the center, in the middle.
Exactly.
Schalke is there. Hertha Berlin is there, and all these players, they have a they have their own unique way of playing, and it's entertaining to watch. Like compared to the say a Premier League match, obviously the crowds do give you that. Means almost all the crowds, be it the Bundesliga and the Premier League. The best part about both these leagues is the crowd they generate. The
Right.
atmosphere they create for these games. So I think in a certain way there is this helter. It's fast kind of football which
Yes, it's
viewers
pretty
enjoy.
similar. It's pretty similar. The Bundesliga and Premier
Yeah,
League,
it's
it's
pretty
very
similar.
physical, very fast-paced game.
Yeah, and I think the technical ability on display in the Bundesliga is a bit more than the Premier League, but I don't want to be held to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it.
So that's what happened in the whole of this week in Bundesliga. And that's our view of how the Leipzig's match is going to pan out. So I think we are in for a good game tonight, and definitely I would like each and everyone to not miss this game and not miss any of these Bundesliga games, because uh, usually when there's Premier League, La Liga, people don't tend to watch Bundesliga because they are top teams of European Premier League. Then you have Real Madrid, Barca, Atletico in La Liga, and then you have only two or maybe one top European team in Bundesliga. So watch as much as Bundesliga you can right now, and hopefully me and Saurav Saha will be back again with another review, and we can do the Leipzig review, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. We can do a small, put out a post later on.
Yeah.
If on the Leipzig game as well. Yeah.
So it's been wonderful to have you in this podcast, and if you have anything to say regarding your predictions on this match, Cologne versus Leipzig, go ahead.
Yeah, I would predict a 3-1 victory for Leipzig
Yeah,
with
that seems
Werner
fair.
on the score sheet.
Yeah.
With Werner on the score sheet for sure. And yeah,
Maybe, yeah. So
that's about it.
I think I'll go for that. I'll go for the 3-1-2 as well. So
Yeah.
3-1 is it
Let's see
is.
if
So
let's see if that happens.
yes, let's find
Yeah.
out. So we'll see. And for each and one of you, every one of you, please stay safe and please stay inside and keep yourself and keep your family safe. And keep watching Bundesliga. And we'll definitely see you in the next podcast.
Thank you.